Have you ever been jolted awake in the dead of night, staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., grappling with the perplexing question of what's happening to your body or mind? Rest assured, you are far from alone in this experience. It's a remarkably common occurrence, and it transcends mere random quirks associated with the natural process of aging. This comprehensive exploration delves deeply into 5 profound reasons why a significant number of older adults find themselves wide awake during those pre-dawn hours, and crucially, what these early awakenings might be subtly attempting to communicate about your overall health, the intricate and often surprising workings of your body, and the unique contours of your life's journey thus far. These are not superficial explanations designed to offer fleeting comfort. Instead, they are firmly grounded in tangible physiological changes that occur with time, significant psychological shifts that often accompany life transitions, and the immutable natural rhythms of growing older that frequently go unnoticed or are misunderstood. We will meticulously examine everything from the ebb and flow of hormonal fluctuations and the alteration of established sleep patterns to the presence of underlying health concerns that may manifest silently and the quiet yet powerful influence of your emotional and social world. All of this will be presented in a manner that is honest, empowering, and deeply respectful of the rich tapestry of experiences and the wisdom you have cultivated throughout your life. Therefore, if you have ever found yourself asking, "Why am I waking up at 3 a.m.?" you have arrived at precisely the right destination. We encourage you to stay tuned until the very end of this discourse, because what you are about to learn may not only offer practical solutions to improve your sleep quality, but also imbue you with a newfound appreciation for the profound wisdom your body is continuously sharing. Understanding these signals can be a powerful catalyst for positive change, enabling you to approach your well-being with greater insight and self-compassion, transforming potential frustration into an opportunity for growth and deeper self-awareness. The information presented is designed to be accessible and actionable, empowering you with knowledge that can lead to more restorative rest and a greater sense of harmony in your daily life. Recognizing that the human body is a complex and dynamic system that often communicates its needs in nuanced ways. One of the most significant and frequently cited reasons why older adults often find themselves awake in the middle of the night, with awakenings typically occurring around the 3 a.m. mark, is the natural and inevitable decrease in melatonin production that invariably accompanies the aging process. Melatonin, a hormone often affectionately referred to as the body's primary sleep hormone, plays an absolutely crucial role in the meticulous regulation of our sleep-wake cycle, effectively acting as our body's internal biological clock. It exerts a pivotal influence in helping us not only to fall asleep with relative ease, but also to maintain a state of deep and uninterrupted sleep throughout the entire night. In the vibrant years of youth and early adulthood, our bodies are remarkably efficient at producing a robust, consistent, and steady stream of melatonin each night, a biological output that facilitates long, deep, and essentially uninterrupted periods of restorative sleep. However, as the years progress and our bodies mature, this inherent production capability naturally begins to wane. While you might still find yourself able to fall asleep without encountering significant difficulty, particularly after a day filled with demanding physical or mental exertion, by the early morning hours, which can range anywhere from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m., the dwindling supply of melatonin may no longer be sufficient to maintain you in a state of deep, somnolent sleep. Consequently, you might discover yourself waking up not due to any external disturbance or disruptive event, but simply because your brain is physiologically shifting back towards a state of wakefulness, and the diminished levels of melatonin are unable to sustain that crucial, restful state. It is vital to understand that this is not a sign of your body failing you or something you are consciously doing wrong. Rather, it represents a fundamental and intrinsic change in your body's internal chemistry that is a natural part of the aging trajectory. Adding to this inherent physiological shift, your immediate bedroom environment can inadvertently exacerbate the issue. Even the slightest presence of light, such as a stray beam from a street lamp that manages to peek through the curtains, a brightly glowing digital clock face, or even a sliver of light emanating from beneath a closed door, can further suppress the production and efficacy of melatonin. As our bodies age, they also become more sensitive to these environmental triggers, which can make those early morning 3 a.m. awakenings feel particularly frustrating and unavoidable. Consider the case of Harold, a sprightly 72-year-old gentleman who had always prided himself on enjoying consistently good sleep throughout his life. In more recent times, he had begun to experience a pattern of waking up with remarkable regularity around 3:15 a.m., feeling wide awake but notably not anxious. Initially, he attributed these awakenings to personal shortcomings, blaming himself for not being able to sleep through the night. However, upon understanding that this was a common and natural aspect of the aging process, directly linked to the decline in melatonin production, he was able to reframe his perspective. Harold began implementing small but effective changes to his environment, such as ensuring his bedroom was as dark as possible, diligently avoiding all electronic screens for at least an hour before bedtime, and incorporating a brief evening walk to help reinforce his natural circadian rhythm. These actions served as gentle signals to his body that it was indeed still nighttime and time for rest. While he still finds himself waking up early on occasion, he has learned to work harmoniously with his body's natural inclinations rather than fighting against them. A shift that has transformed his initial frustration into a profound sense of self-compassion and enabled him to make more informed and proactive choices about his nighttime care and overall sleep hygiene. Another extremely prevalent reason contributing to those persistent early morning awakenings, often centering around the 3 a.m. mark, is a natural shift in our internal biological clock, a phenomenon that is scientifically recognized as advanced sleep phase syndrome. As individuals progress through the stages of aging, their circadian rhythms, which govern our sleep-wake patterns, tend to drift progressively forward in time. This means that we may experience feelings of sleepiness earlier in the evening and consequently find ourselves waking up earlier in the morning. You may have personally noticed yourself nodding off during your favorite evening television programs or experiencing the sensation of waking up spontaneously before your alarm clock even rings, even on those days when you would much prefer to sleep in and enjoy a more leisurely start. This is not merely a casual change in habit or a behavioral adjustment. It represents a deeply ingrained biological shift that can become increasingly pronounced over the passage of time. In our younger years, our natural sleep cycles are often more aligned with later bedtime routines and wake-up times that synchronize harmoniously with the natural patterns of daylight. However, as this innate rhythm advances, the body's natural window for sleep begins to move earlier. You might find yourself feeling drowsy and spontaneously falling asleep by as early as 9 p.m. or even earlier without any conscious effort to do so. This earlier onset of sleep means that your body has already completed its full and necessary sleep cycle by the time 3 a.m. arrives. This biological reality is precisely why you might wake up feeling adequately rested, even though it is still profoundly dark outside. Your body has effectively concluded its night shift of essential restorative processes. It is imperative to understand that this is not an indication of a problem or a sign that something is inherently wrong. Rather, it signifies your body operating on a different, albeit shifted, schedule. One can conceptualize this much like a finely tuned clock that has gradually been adjusted to run a little faster with each passing season. While this advancement in the sleep cycle is not inherently harmful in itself, it can certainly become disruptive and challenging if your daily lifestyle, your family commitments, or your personal preferences do not align harmoniously with this new, earlier internal rhythm. Furthermore, there is a subtle yet significant psychological element that often plays a role in this phenomenon. Many older adults experience periods of quieter households or spend a greater proportion of their time alone, and this serene and peaceful environment can amplify the body's natural signals to wind down and initiate its sleep sequence much earlier. Without the constant activity, external stimuli, or ambient noise that might have once dictated a later bedtime in younger years, your physiological system is more inclined to initiate its nightly shutdown sequence much sooner. Additionally, if you are no longer bound by a rigid work schedule or a demanding daily routine, the absence of consistent external time cues, such as the need to commute, attend meetings, or participate in social engagements, can further strengthen and solidify this internal temporal shift. Consider the experience of Charles, a contented 68-year-old retiree who habitually eats his dinner around 5:30 p.m., dedicates approximately an hour to watching television, and then heads to bed by 9 p.m. Consequently, he is typically fast asleep by 9 p.m. and naturally finds himself ready to wake up by 3 a.m., feeling alert and refreshed rather than anxious or disoriented. He initially believed that this early waking was a symptom of insomnia, but upon learning about the concept of advanced sleep phase syndrome, he came to realize that his sleep was not broken, but rather effectively rescheduled by his own biological clock. To address this, Charles began implementing small, deliberate adjustments to his evening routine. These included making a conscious effort to stay up a little longer by engaging in reading under a warm light, taking a gentle, leisurely walk after his evening meal, and occasionally initiating a phone call with his daughter before retiring for the night. These simple social and sensory cues helped to subtly extend his natural sleep window, effectively nudging his wake-up time closer to a more conventionally accepted morning hour. The positive outcome? A significant reduction in his 3 a.m. awakenings and a greater sense of harmony and alignment with his daily life and desired sleep schedule. This natural shift in sleep patterns is a phenomenon that a vast number of older adults experience, yet it is rarely discussed openly or acknowledged in societal discourse. Understanding its biological underpinnings can alleviate a significant amount of unwarranted guilt or confusion, offering a more compassionate and informed approach to managing your sleep rather than engaging in a frustrating and ultimately futile battle against your own natural rhythms. If you find yourself waking around 3 a.m. and experiencing a sense that you have had a full and restorative night's sleep, it is highly probable that your body is simply operating on an earlier schedule. And armed with this knowledge, you can begin to thoughtfully shape your daily routines and habits to better support your overall well-being and create a more harmonious sleep-wake cycle. Another exceptionally common and often underestimated reason why older adults frequently find themselves awake around the 3 a.m. mark is directly linked to their body's natural response to physical discomfort or subtle underlying health issues that tend to manifest and become more noticeable during the quiet, undisturbed hours of the night. As our bodies age, the inherent likelihood of experiencing chronic health conditions or minor physical ailments tends to increase, and many of these conditions possess the capacity to disrupt sleep without issuing any obvious alarming signals, subtly creeping in like a persistent stiff joint, an increasingly full bladder, or a sudden, sharp back twinge. Often, the mere presence of these minor discomforts is sufficient to pull an individual out of a deep and restorative sleep state right in the midst of the night. Conditions such as arthritis, for instance, can significantly impact one's ability to maintain a single sleeping position for extended periods without experiencing discomfort. While you might not consciously register the discomfort when you initially drift off to sleep, after several hours of stillness and immobility, those underlying aches and pains can intensify and gradually rouse you from your slumber. For some individuals, nighttime acid reflux can also emerge as a significant culprit, particularly if dinner was consumed too late in the evening or if they reclined to a horizontal position too soon after finishing their meal. Even seemingly minor issues like experiencing dry mouth, sudden leg cramps, or a slight unseasonal drop in room temperature can act as triggers, initiating a light awakening in those vulnerable early morning hours. a time when your body's natural resilience and capacity to buffer against discomfort are often at their lowest. A particularly prevalent physical reason, especially for older men, to wake up around 3 or 4 a.m. is the urgent need to urinate. As the body naturally ages, the elasticity of the bladder can decrease, leading to a more immediate, insistent, and frequent urge to relieve oneself. This sensation might go largely unnoticed during the daytime due to the presence of various distractions and activities, but in the profound stillness and darkness of a bedroom at 3 a.m., this urge often becomes impossible to ignore or suppress. Once you are out of bed and moving, even for a brief trip to the bathroom, your body may have already transitioned from a state of deep rest to a lighter state of alertness, making the subsequent challenge of falling back into a deep sleep significantly more difficult. Furthermore, the array of medications that many older adults regularly take for various health conditions, such as high blood pressure, heart health concerns, or persistent pain management, can also subtly contribute to these sleep disruptions. These medications often come with a range of potential side effects that can indirectly impact sleep quality, such as an increased frequency of urination, altered body temperature regulation, or a heightened sensitivity to ambient noise or light. You might not even consciously connect your prescribed medication regimen to your disrupted sleep patterns until it is specifically pointed out to you or until you embark on a diligent process of tracking your daily habits and their correlation with your sleep. Consider the experience of Eleanor, a conscientious 76-year-old woman who has historically been a light sleeper. For the past year, she had been consistently waking up around 3:30 a.m., a pattern that had begun to cause her considerable distress. After months of attributing these awakenings solely to the natural effects of aging, a candid conversation with her physician revealed that one of the medications she was taking was inadvertently affecting her hydration levels, consequently leading to more frequent nighttime bathroom visits. With her doctor's expert guidance, she adjusted the timing of her medication dosage and incorporated a few minor lifestyle changes, which in turn significantly reduced her nighttime awakenings and notably improved her ability to return to a state of sleep. It is absolutely crucial to remember that these physical awakenings are not indicative of your body failing you or succumbing to decline. Rather, they are sensitive signals that your body is still actively responding to internal stimuli, alerting you to its needs and diligently adjusting its processes. These subtle cues can serve as invaluable guides, directing you towards better health management strategies and more informed choices about your lifestyle, thereby fostering a deeper and more trusting relationship with your own bodily awareness. While waking up at 3 a.m. might initially seem like a mere inconvenience or a frustrating interruption, it can also be viewed as a gentle and important prompt to tune in more closely, to perform a personal check-in with yourself, and to make small, manageable adjustments that collectively promote better overall health and a more restorative and satisfying sleep experience. Another powerful yet frequently overlooked reason why older adults often find themselves awake and alert at 3 a.m. lies in the cumulative effect of long-standing daily habits, subtle but ingrained routines and deliberate lifestyle choices that over the passage of time quietly and insidiously reshape their internal biological rhythm. Many older adults naturally gravitate towards eating their evening meals earlier, begin their winding down process sooner in the evening, and tend to experience less significant physical activity throughout the day. These seemingly minor adjustments, when considered collectively, send a clear and consistent signal to the body that the nighttime rest period should commence earlier, a biological shift that inevitably pushes the natural wake-up time forward accordingly. When your days become significantly quieter, particularly in the context of retirement, your body no longer receives the same crucial external cues and temporal anchors it once relied upon, such as the demands of commuting, the necessity of running errands, or the engagement in physically or mentally stimulating tasks that help to anchor the daily schedule. In the absence of these regular prompts, the body's intrinsic sleep-wake cycle can begin to drift earlier and earlier, A calm, dimly lit evening environment coupled with minimal sensory stimulation can trigger your brain to release melatonin at an earlier hour, effectively inviting sleep well before you might even consciously register that it is nearing 9 p.m. Once you fall asleep at this earlier hour, your body simply completes its full restorative sleep cycle earlier as well, leading directly to awakenings in those still very pre-dawn hours, often right around the 3 a.m. mark. There is also a delicate and intricate interplay between the timing of your food intake and the quality of your sleep. Eating dinner early, while generally considered a beneficial practice for overall health and digestion, can sometimes lead to a noticeable dip in blood sugar levels overnight, particularly if no light snack is consumed before bed. This subtle drop in blood sugar, while not always consciously felt as hunger, can still be enough to rouse the body from its deeper sleep stages. Similarly, the consumption of caffeine, even if it occurs in the early afternoon, can linger in your system for an extended period, especially as metabolic processes tend to slow down with age. This lingering caffeine can subtly lighten your sleep, making you more susceptible to waking at the slightest disturbance, whether it be internal or external. Consider the experience of Walter, a 74-year-old gentleman who had recently retired. These lifestyle changes occurred gradually and almost imperceptibly for him. His days became less structured and more relaxed, and his evenings grew progressively more tranquil. He found himself having supper at 5 p.m., frequently dozing off in his comfortable recliner during the evening news broadcast, and heading to bed before 9 p.m. on most nights. Unwittingly, his entire daily rhythm had effectively shifted several hours earlier. Before long, he began waking up consistently around 3 a.m., feeling utterly perplexed as to why he was wide awake and alert before the birds even began to chirp. After taking time to reflect on his daily routines and recent lifestyle changes, Walter began implementing small, intentional adjustments. These included incorporating a short, brisk walk in the afternoon, choosing to read in brighter light during the evening hours, and consciously avoiding naps after dinner. These simple adjustments helped to subtly nudge his natural sleep window a bit later, allowing his body to gradually settle into a rhythm that better aligned with his desired wake-up time. It is truly remarkable how often we underestimate the profound power of consistent routine and daily habits. Our bodies have an innate craving for rhythm, for predictable daily patterns that act as reliable signals, guiding the brain on when it is time to initiate rest and when it is time to awaken. As these vital signals weaken or shift due to lifestyle changes, the body's internal clock can lose its precise bearings, leading to earlier and more fragmented sleep patterns. However, by diligently recognizing these shifting patterns and making thoughtful, deliberate adjustments, it is entirely possible to gently guide the body back towards a sleep cycle that feels more restorative, less disrupted, and more aligned with your overall well-being. Sometimes the experience of waking up at 3 a.m. has considerably less to do with tangible physical factors, and more to do with the nuanced state of your mind and emotional landscape. As we advance through the stages of life, emotional layers and unresolved issues that might have been effectively suppressed or conveniently set aside by the relentless demands and constant distractions of daily life can begin to surface and demand attention during the quiet solitude of the night. These early morning hours, when the external world is hushed and distractions are at their absolute minimum, frequently become the primary stage upon which unspoken worries, lingering regrets, or unmet desires begin to stir and gain prominence. You might find yourself lying awake not because of external noise or physical discomfort, but simply because your mind is engaged in a quiet process of sifting through memories, wrestling with unresolved thoughts, or contemplating subtle anxieties that you hadn't consciously acknowledged or addressed during the daylight hours. This particular type of mental restlessness differs significantly from the more intense, palpable anxiety that might surface during youth. It is typically quieter, more introspective and reflective, and can feel more like a gentle, persistent hum in the background, a subtle sense that something is unsettled or incomplete, even if you are unable to precisely articulate what that might be. When the mind is not actively engaged with external tasks or responsibilities, it often turns inward, revisiting past relationships, critical life decisions, significant losses, or words that were left unsaid and may still carry emotional weight. Because the body is no longer in a state of rushing from one obligation to the next, there is a greater capacity for these internal thoughts and emotions to resonate more deeply within your consciousness. It is also critically important to acknowledge the significant role that feelings of loneliness can play in this phenomenon. For a considerable number of older adults, social circles naturally contract and diminish over time. Children may move away to pursue their own lives, friends can become occupied with their own families and commitments, and established routines inevitably shift. While the daytime might be filled with various activities and social interactions, the arrival of night brings with it a profound quiet and stillness, and with this stillness comes an increased awareness of any emotional gaps or a yearning for connection. This form of loneliness doesn't always manifest as overt sadness or deep depression. It can appear simply as a subtle yearning for human connection or a faint longing for conversation when the house is entirely silent. Consider the experience of Gloria, an 80-year-old widow who actively keeps herself busy during the day by tending to her beloved garden, engaging in regular phone calls with her grandchildren, and enjoying her favorite television programs. However, around 3:00 a.m., she often finds herself waking, her thoughts drifting to cherished moments shared with her late husband or to worries and concerns that she tends to keep tucked away and unacknowledged during her waking daylight hours. Initially, she believed that her sleep itself was the primary issue, but over time, she gradually realized that her early morning waking was not fundamentally about sleep at all. Rather, it was her heart and mind seeking acknowledgement and processing. To support herself through these moments, Gloria began keeping a small, accessible journal by her bedside. When she wakes up, she sometimes jots down whatever thoughts or feelings are present in her mind without any pressure for them to be profound or particularly coherent. She also introduced a quiet, calming evening ritual, such as listening to soft, soothing music or writing a brief, heartfelt note to a friend. These small, intentional acts of reflection and connection provided a gentle and much-needed outlet for her emotions, effectively easing her mind and helping her to return to a more peaceful state of sleep. The truth is, the human heart and mind do not adhere to a strict, scheduled routine. They remember what they need to remember, they ask the questions they need to ask, and sometimes they do all of this in the quiet solitude of 3 a.m. when everything else in the external world is still and silent. However, this is not a flaw or a sign of malfunction. Rather, it is a testament to the depth and complexity of your inner life. If you find yourself waking up during these quiet hours and feeling particularly reflective, it may signify that you are carrying a wealth of wisdom that is ready to be recognized and honored. You have navigated the landscape of both profound joys and significant heartbreaks, and these deeply personal experiences shape not only your memories, but also your very sense of self and identity. Instead of viewing these early morning wake-ups as an inconvenience to be fixed or eliminated, try approaching them with genuine curiosity and unwavering kindness. What is your mind or heart attempting to communicate to you? What specific part of yourself needs to be heard and acknowledged? What aspect of your being requires a little grace and understanding, even in the darkness of the night? Sometimes the most profound form of rest and peace comes not from suppressing or ignoring these moments, but from honoring them with attention and compassion. In doing so, you may discover not only a pathway to better sleep, but also a richer, more profound understanding of yourself at this meaningful stage of your life. As we thoughtfully conclude this comprehensive journey into understanding the multifaceted reasons behind those perplexing early morning awakenings, we invite you to take a moment to reflect deeply on what has resonated most profoundly with you. Was it the subtle yet significant shifts in your internal biological clock, the quiet yet pervasive influence of your physical well-being, or perhaps something more deeply ingrained and emotional, like a personal rhythm that only emerges when the external world has fallen silent? Each of these 5 key insights offers a unique and valuable perspective on why you might be experiencing these 3 a.m. awakenings, and importantly, none of them suggest that something is fundamentally wrong or broken within you. Instead, they collectively highlight how actively and dynamically your body and mind continue to work, respond, and adapt as you navigate and progress through this important stage of your life's journey. There is a profound and quiet strength to be found in understanding what your body is communicating to you, especially during those gentle, tranquil hours just before the dawn. Rather than viewing these 3 a.m. wake-ups as an unwelcome nuisance or an uncontrollable annoyance, consider them as important messages, subtle yet clear prompts to listen more attentively and consciously to your evolving needs, your daily habits, and the whispers of your heart. You are unequivocally not alone in experiencing this phenomenon, nor are you the only one actively seeking answers and understanding. With greater insight comes a significant empowerment, and with that empowerment blossoms the freedom to make small yet meaningful changes that can foster better sleep quality, enhance your physical comfort, and cultivate a stronger, more profound connection to your own natural, innate rhythms. If you recognized yourself in any of the reasons discussed today, please know that you are not simply aging in a passive sense. You are actively evolving, and this evolution presents a valuable opportunity to rest more intentionally, to care for yourself more tenderly and with greater self-compassion, and to greet each new morning with a deeper sense of understanding, peace, and acceptance. Thank you sincerely for joining us on this informative exploration today. We genuinely value your engagement and interest, so we kindly encourage you to share one key takeaway from this discussion in the comments section below, along with a brief description of how you plan to integrate it into your daily life. Your thoughtful contributions are incredibly important to us and provide significant motivation, encouragement, and valuable perspectives for both us and our community. If you found this video to be helpful, insightful, and valuable, please consider showing your support by liking this content, subscribing to our channel for future insights, and sharing it with others in your network who might also benefit. Your support is what allows us to continue creating valuable content that informs, inspires, and empowers our viewers. Thank you once again for watching, and we eagerly anticipate seeing you in